Change the mic over. What's up, everybody? Welcome to this live stream for November the 19th. I'm going to chit chat here for a second before we get started for folks to join in. Thanks for joining. It's been a few weeks. I've been traveling. I was in New York this last week. I got a chance to ride the bull. Also got to rub the bull's balls too. So that was fun. Good fun trip. Didn't get to ring the bell. Apparently, they haven't let people go into the stock exchange for a long time. That was the only thing I didn't get to do, but I knew they'd close that off. If I clear my throat a little bit, got a little bit of allergies going on. I do not have the Rona. I still can taste and smell. So excuse me if I turn away and do that. So I'm taking a little victory lap here. Of course, NVIDIA. This is a trade which has turned into an investment. A lot of folks will take a loss and turn it into an investment. But this is one I've just kind of held on. I got into this pre-split all the way back here. Right around their earnings from May, or just a little bit before that. Trying to profit from the pre-earnings. Let's look at the daily and clean that up. Trying to profit from the common phenomenon of stocks doing a run up into earnings. There's usually some kind of move, of course, at earnings, but that's very unpredictable. Moves at earnings are about 50-50, but moves before earnings, they kind of tend to trend. And if you can get into that trend in a few weeks before, you can benefit from it a good bit. Bear with me. And so I've just kind of held on to it this whole time. And we had another earnings in September. Again, what did you have? A run up before it. And then recently, as of the last live stream of October, I said to people, hey, last time I talked about NVIDIA was a live stream, which was right before earnings. I think it was here in, around the end of, was it August or can't quite remember. But a lot of people were getting into it late. And of course, people nowadays, when they want to play something, they're taking these 1-2 week options, 2 weeks if they think it's long term, and they just don't make any money. But in this case, again, I said, we're coming into earnings once again. Don't come in here and ask me about it late because it's running. And right after that, it went up. And so it had a little bit extra. So I'm going to toot my horn a little bit here. The company's doing big things. There's a lot of narratives about how they are really pushing the VR space, kind of tied into this whole Facebook meta stuff. I honestly don't follow those that much because the price of it's going up. Sorry to say, but fundamentals tend to lead people astray a little bit. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Also going to, of course, talk about crypto. Crypto is always interesting, but it just seems to be getting more and more interesting. Now that we got a few more people that have joined us in the chat, both on YouTube, which I'm looking on here, and on TradingView on here. If you have questions, uh, ask them in the chat. Give me stuff to look at. Give me topics to talk about, because I could rant forever about this and that, but I want to help people share what I know. And there's one thing I want to talk about today, which is earnings and volatility. Came up in the chat today from Roan. Hope he's in here. And yeah, so thanks for joining. So I gotta. If you're out there, nefarious, if you're still watching my streams, we miss you. And I'm not picking on you, but I do want to bring you up, if you are still watching, because we got into it earlier in November about, he wanted to go short. He wanted to take puts on Nvidia because it was overpriced. And I kind of asked my typical question when somebody says that sort of expression, like, what does that mean? I'm a big fan of the adage that a stock is never too high to buy and it's never too low to sell, because it can always go higher, it can always go lower. I'll bring that up a little bit here. We talked about this. This was on 11/8. This was earlier in the month, and when people are doing something that I don't think is a good idea, I'm very careful to not tell people don't do that, because that could be the time where the market is irrational or any other number of things, and that trade could have worked out for him. And I don't want somebody coming back to me and saying like, "Oh, you told me this." No, everyone's trading has to be theirs, and so I don't want to unduly influence unless I see someone making a major cognitive error based on what I've learned as pretty accurate and true. And one of those is, of course, thinking because something has gone up, that must necessarily mean it must come down. The story of this year, the story of last year, when it comes to the stock market as a whole, is it's gone up too much. I mean, holy crap. If you just look on the monthly at how scary this run of the market is, I mean, every single month, everyone wants to say, "Oh, this is the end. The crash is coming." Interestingly enough, now that we've gotten through October, which was superstitiously the month where you see the crash, I don't hear that many people talking about a crash as much. Hmm. And you got to watch out for when people aren't looking for something to happen. So, anyway, we got into this conversation about Nvidia, and he started talking about looking at their balance sheet and making a determination. I Fundamental analysis was the way that Warren Buffett, of course, made all of his money. But he also came around in a very bullish time. Fundamental analysis, PE ratios, things like that, they worked great back in the 80s and maybe even the 90s. But, when they start working again, maybe I'll incorporate them into my analysis. But honestly, technical analysis has just worked so much better, and that in discipline. Nvidia is a winner. It continues to be a winner. When it stops being a winner, I'll sell it. I know that sounds kind of overly simplified, but the inverse is I'm not going to hold on to a loser. One thing that I got into earlier in the year was Intel, and I had to go back and look and see when I bought it, when I got out of it. But this is the monthly chart. I believe if I was going to take a technical setup, I probably took it when it pulled back around in here, but it's just not doing anything. It's like the meme goes, I'm poking it with a stick, trying to get it to do anything, and I'm just not going to hold this. So I'm not in Intel, but I am in Nvidia, and a lot of people that are actually Intel fanboys, I guess I could call them, they're hodling, thinking that Intel has superior technology, all that good narrative stuff, but it's not reflected in the price. Best story, best balance sheet, and then you have something like this. And so when it comes to analyzing balance sheets and the fundamentals, I just don't see that being very useful. Holding on to a winner and cutting something like Intel, taking the money from Intel, the same company that it may have the better stuff, and putting it into a stock that is actually performing. That seems to be the rewarding thing to do. I don't know how to put it into more terms as that. This is bullish. It's going up. Now, will it come down eventually? Yes, of course it will, like all things. And is it getting a little precarious now? We're looking at the week. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight bullish weeks. Yeah. Do I want to buy more now? No. No, definitely not. But I'll definitely hold until I get some kind of weakness. But I'm definitely not going to go short. So, Nefarious, love you. Please come back. We liked having your contrarian view. And honestly, I want to learn fundamental analysis. It could be that when all this money printing ends that the Fed's doing, that we will go back to a normal market where things like making profits matter, as opposed to what's that EV company that has the largest IPO? Is it Rivian or what is it? Yeah, this they're not making any money, but they are their value. Hold on, what is it? Is Rivian's valuation? It market cap is $109 billion or something. I can't remember exactly what it is, but yeah, this was kind of a the times we're in sort of thing where yeah, their net income they're losing $500 million, but they have $100 billion valuation. Okay, and you want to tell me the fundamentals matter? Okay, narratives, stories matter. The people that are making money on Tesla are the ones that believe in Elon. I mean, don't bet against them. That's for sure. What's Tesla been doing? Tesla once again just went nuts. Kind of did nothing for a while, but man, the naysayers, yeah. So anyway, Santa going to kill us. Well, I've talked about this for since the beginning of the year that this year in the market looks like a normal year. Let me talk about more what I mean. So, what this year reminds me of looks like this up and to the right. It really reminds me of the market in 2017, year after an election. Where we got it. Yeah. So 2017, here was the election. Here was the election of Trump in 2016, right here. Let's just draw that. So this is the election of Trump. Oh, you can't see that. Let me move myself over. There we go. So Trump was elected, and everyone thought the market was going to crash. It didn't. It went up. And you, of course, had the summer volatility, some August, September volatility, some stuff in June. Summer months normally are pretty crazy. And then all through the rest of the year, you had a rally, which culminated in the end of the year with a big, now pay attention to this. If you see the market start doing something like this, get nervous. People are going to be really ecstatic and happy. But yeah, these kind of runs pretty generally have a comeuppance. And so quarter one of 2018 was really brutal if you were trying to go long. But that's just the nature of things. And so now fast forward to, again, a post-election year. And going back to, yep, we had the dip around the election. Yep, right there, the dip around the election and launch from there, volatility. I'm using Ichimoku here. Never has it really gotten into a bearish market. I love Manaconda's expression, show me where the bear touched you. Never did it really go bearish all year, despite all the people saying we're going to have a crash this year. Got a little dicey here at the beginning of October, but momentum, the Chicao, never got out of the cloud. And now we're up to new all-time highs in the market. In fact, I believe every single month we've made a new all-time high. Because September on the 2nd made an all-time high, and before October closed, we made an all-time high. Just keeps going. And so if we are now in this end of the year, quarter four, Santa Claus rally, I would expect it to just keep going, climbing higher. But if it's a normal year, if patterns repeat themselves, there could be a comeuppance. Could be. Always going to qualify that. Quarter 1 of 2022 would be when I would actually start getting defensive and nervous. Not going to go to cash, but I'll definitely be looking for hedging setups, probably with futures, ES or NASDAQ. NASDAQ is actually the NASDAQ futures, the NQ, have actually been pretty darn interesting. The price action, there was a, let's see, NQ. There was a setup from, I believe, let's bring up the spikes. Where was that spike? Yeah, right here. This spike right here, which I was able to capture a little bit of right here. The reason I like this one, it happened. These opening spikes have been very, very common. Look for these around the opening bars. You maybe get once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, but look at these volatilities of the opens of the futures. The reason I like this one was because you had this former all-time high of the NASDAQ comes down, and now you got this 50% level right in here where price tried to go up, could not break it. Now you have a place where you can put a stop loss. And from your stop loss, you can then adjust your risk. So we're going to enter when that bar closes. Oh, wrong way. Or you want to short it. Boom to here. There's where your risk is. Notice it got a little dicey right there, but pull out your 3-to-1s down there, or you wait until you have a counter spike in the other direction. Another volatility, even though price did continue on there, still a good trade. So look for these at the opening bar. And I really encourage you to use the futures instead of the SPY or the QQQ because you have the full 24 hours of price action, not after market hours, but the futures are always open. Well, they're closed sometime in our evening, but for the most part, that European trading time, when Europe is open and there's actually a lot of movement, like here is where Europe is trading back in here. There's some actual meaningful movement because this happened at the noon around lunch the day before, and then this happened in the evening, which would have been after about 6 p.m. our time, which is when I believe that Asia begins to open. So this is some meaningful price action that creates the technical setups for the following day. So futures are very valuable to watch for this. And you can even express that trade using options on SPY or QQQ if you want. But this would, I would say, the best base product for gauging these market indices. A little tip. So I've been watching for that, and this is what I'll be looking for in like any other day when it comes time for the market to do a correction, as it were, if it does it in the next quarter. But there's really no weakness here. There's no weakness. And the weakness could come in a very big red dildo bar for sure. But you don't know when it's going to come. And we just keep ripping higher. So don't doubt it. Otherwise, it's going to cost you money. I mean, I just out of curiosity with NVIDIA, I did look to see why, fundamentally, why did this thing go up so much? So basically, they just did what they were supposed to do. They made a bunch of money in all their major segments. Data center revenue was up over 50%. And they're doing what they're supposed to do and beating the expectations. That's why. So in this case, the price matches the fundamentals, but then again, everyone's very bullish on them to begin with. So they just happen to be really knocking it out the park. Now, in order for the price to continue to go up, they have to keep knocking it out of the park. So we'll see what happens in the coming months. But I'm pretty content with my position. What's up with Bitcoin? Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's look at crypto. So crypto today has been doing pretty well today. But yeah, let's look at the week. So I've been really watching all the cryptocurrencies, but mainly Bitcoin and Ethereum over the last few weeks, over the last few live streams. I made a video about the false breakout that Bitcoin made. And then, of course, people were, celebrating that the week before last, we made a new all-time high. And it kind of got a little wonky there because if you look at this right here, this bar actually closed above that last all-time high. But it failed to close above the last all-time high. So it's I have capitulated into humility. Technical analysis is just a guide. But that doesn't mean that this is not concerning for the Bulls. I stand by what I've said before, where if you get a break of a major level like the all-time high, this thing really, really needs to go. It needs to shoot up. In the cases where you've had a break of the all-time high, like when you had back in 2017, the all-time high was around, let's say, 19,000 and a half, and you have a break, hesitates right at it, and then it goes up, and it stays up. It stays up, and it doesn't look back. That's what you want to see on a break of an all-time high. People buying that break. And we're just not seeing that. It's not happening. It's flirting with it. Still got a lot of people trying to buy into it, but this week was a little brutal for it. And what this sets up, both in Bitcoin and Ethereum, here's that last all-time high right there. This is the weekly, by the way. It's still showing signs of a false breakout. It's not really holding above it. And if we go out to a longer time frame, if we look, a lot of people, when they want to, justify an opinion, whatever it may be, they'll go to a higher time frame. It helps, and you can also see what you want to see. But if you look here, you're still not doing what it needs to do to have a successful break of the last all-time high. This is Bitcoin that we're looking at here. The last time on the monthly that you got up to that all-time high and it broke it, it never looked back, and it went. We can go back as far as we need to actually on the index and look at it. Do a little bit of homework and see. Ethereum, same thing. I mean, this month isn't quite done yet, but it's going to be very, very key to look and see where this thing closes. This is what I'm watching. I'm watching for a close above or below to see where this thing is going to go. But right now, it's a little dicey. I mean, we're up a lot today across the board today to follow up a rather bearish week of crypto. But it shouldn't be pulling back this much. It shouldn't be. It should just go. Everyone spent all their money buying up pixelated trash, NFTs. Well, NFTs are interesting. I got a good friend of mine that is really getting interested in the NFT meta space. I don't really understand it. Maybe I'll have him on to explain it to me a little bit. But I find it very interesting. People that are creating virtual worlds, kind of like Second Life, where they would have virtual real estate. I mean, that's been going on for well over a decade. It's not surprising to me that people are selling things online, whether it be video games and things like that. I'm getting a notification on the YouTube that it's not receiving enough video to be smooth. Is it causing a problem there on YouTube? Give me a yay or a nay in the chat over there. While I'm waiting, if you are joined on TradingView or if you're on YouTube, post in the chat so that I can read it, and we'll look at whatever you want to look at. Get my opinion. Okay, I'm making sure that TradingView isn't having problems. Saw it spooling over there. Okay, we'll carry on. So as that comes about, as that becomes more of a thing, I might look into it. But honestly, I've just kind of gotten to a point where I stay in my lane. I have the setups that I like. I like looking for price action. I like looking for volatility spikes, and they work. A lot of people, they want to be the next NFT millionaires. Go for it. It's just not something that I am nearly as passionate about putting my money into, even if they are making money. Okay. Let me. Yeah. Okay. So we are getting a little bit lag. Okay. Hold on. I thought the Trading View was getting a little bit better. No, actually, what's happening is it's not my internet because I think Trading View is working just fine. It's the connection between Trading View and YouTube. So that is annoying. Let's give it a second. I'm gonna take a drink real quick, see if it'll clear it up. Thanks. Hey, what's up, Josh? Ah, here's another fan favorite. That was TJ Maxx. And they had a good earnings there, actually. Down a little bit from that, but yeah, that works out. What do I think of Baidu? Let's take a look at the price. So, if you're going to ask me, this is just, of course, my opinion, not soliciting for you to buy or sell it. But what I would say is I'm going to look at a couple of things and I'll walk you through it. Let's first take a look at the highest time frame first on it. So this is going to be the monthly. Looks like it's in a range. Definitely not trending. So kind of choppy range here. You're right in the middle of it. So it could take you a while to get up or out of it. And I'm also going to look at things as a technical trader. If you count me earlier, I don't really look at the fundamentals that much. So this right here is a little concerning because on the weekly, you definitely have it below the Ichimoku cloud, which means that the trend is bearish. And what you have going on right now is the momentum is getting close to getting outside the cloud. You don't want this to happen because now you're on full on bearish territory. That being said, again, just a very, very choppy up and down chart. I'm imagining this is a Chinese company, and I bet they're probably reeling from just the Chinese market right now as a whole. But yeah, I'll answer it this way: would I buy it right now? No, no, I would not be a buyer right now. What I would look for would be some sort of a setup. I think what you had here down on the daily would have been a potential bullish setup. Price starts to get out of the cloud, but momentum did not. See that? And so, what I'd be looking for as a first opportunity to go long would be a breakout, a cloud breakout on the side. Like if this had, instead of starting to consolidate back into this range, which is creating right now, if it can break out of this range and you can get this to go up, then on the weekly, you can possibly get it to come to the halfway point of the move, which would be about the cloud there. So you have a little bit of room to run in here. So what I would look for if I was wanting to get this is it to get somewhere in the 180 range in here, and then you could possibly look for it to go bullish up to the 230s. That's what I would look for there, but not until you can break out of this range right here. This is the key. What I would do in this case is I would set an alert here to catch the breakout up. And if I'm holding this long, I would set an alert here because if it breaks lower from this consolidation, that's a bad sign. So I would look at this. I would look at this range that you're in right here in these last couple of months between 137 and 183. Where it goes from here, that's going to tell you where this thing wants to go. So that's Baidu. Let's see. That's a good point. It may have been as people joined on TradingView. I don't know. But how are things on YouTube? Are they getting better? It looks a little better when I'm looking on my screen over there. All right. PRPL. What is PRPL? Ugh, gross. um, I'm sorry if you're in this. This is yikes. Um, so let's go back in the way back machine, the hindsight machine. So what I would have been looking for in the past would be a pullback to maybe the 50% level here. And this is one of those situations where if I'm in a trade, if I'm in a position and it violates something that I don't want to see, like for instance, you started to get some price action here. Let's just go back in time. Let's pretend like we're back around September. If it starts, if I'm buying, if I'm a buyer up in here or anywhere else, and this comes down on this earnings, sets up this low here on earnings. If I'm looking at it here, there it created a support and it held it these times right here. On the Baidu that we were talking about earlier, breaking that consolidation range is deadly. Perfect example of it is here. If you get a break of that range and it starts to trend lower, you need to get defensive. I know you may like the company, you may like the story, but you got to preserve your money. So even if you really couldn't part to get away from this stock, if you really really liked it when you were around 22, at some point you just got to accept that it's not working out for you. And so when it started to violate these levels right here, you could have gotten out and not lost half the value. At this point, it's just in free fall, and you don't know when it's going to stop. It could come all the way back down to retest the 4 or the 5. There's just nothing in here to make it stop, because the natural place that you might have had some buyers to pick it up would have been in the 15 range, but on earnings, it just gapped right below. In fact, it came up to test that level, boop, like that, held it and went down. Ooh, that's brutal. You just don't know. I mean, you've got some bleeding diamond hands now if you're holding on to this. I'm sorry if you're in this, but that's just my honest opinion. But make this a learning experience if you are holding on to it. When you see some kind of a violation like this, or on this earnings dip right here, it gave you an opportunity to say, okay, is it going to break above it in return or not? I can't tell you when this is going to stop. I mean, it could just keep on going. I mean, you're either in it for the long haul and you're believing in it, but it sounds like this thing had a really good pandemic story that people just aren't buying anymore. And mm, eesh, sorry. So let's take a look at PLTR. Again, poke it with a stick. It's not really doing anything. I knew this was the big, if I do recall, 2020 story. It was a big 2020 IPO. It's doing a whole lot of nothing. I mean, if you really want to own it for the long haul, it's not doing anything to really scare you. It's just basically kind of created a little range here, kind of playing in the range. Don't really see anything happening except it's in a bearish trend right now. This is the daily. You have both your price and your momentum are on the bear side, so I'd be bearish on this, honestly. Come down and retest this low. That would be the natural inclination I have for it. Again, a lot of these 2020 stories, have worked and a lot of them haven't. And if you bought something in 2020 and it did really well for you and you didn't take profit, you're learning a hard lesson. And that lesson is you got to take some profit. Even in Nvidia, as it's climbed up in my major position, I have taken some profits to keep my position at a certain percentage of my portfolio. Even though I'd love for it to be my entire portfolio doubling in the course of a couple of months, you just can't do that. you have to be smart about how you're sized in these positions. And, I think back holding is one of the major problems that traders and investors face. And the way I've just gotten around that is I just cut losers. I don't have any patience for them. Even if something tends to work out. I think there was one that I really wanted to hold on to, which was Lockheed Martin. I think Lockheed Martin was, when was it that I was in this one? I think it was around the time we got out of Afghanistan. I think what I did, yeah, Lockheed Martin was one. Talked about this on the Discord, which, by the way, go to the link, my signature below. Let me plug it. I run a Discord for people to just chat. I don't charge for it. I talk about my trades. People talk about their trades. We're all trying to make good decisions. So, little plug there. Also, do the stuff for the algorithms, like, share, subscribe, all that. But I just wanted to get to more people, and I just love talking about trading. So, there's that plug. Anyway, so we talked about that there when we started getting out of Afghanistan. Price was coming down to there. And it did this little number right here at the beginning of September, okay, where I bought it in here. Let's say I bought it when it hit this level right here. It gave me a setup, and then I had my stop below this low right here. It triggered it. I'm out. I wanted to have some Lockheed Martin. I mean, the company was pretty good. And actually, it went down more and more, and I was glad, but then it came back up. Now, these are the kind of tricks that the market will play on you to make you think that you made a bad decision by cutting a loss. But those are just those it's the psychology of things works that the losses we take have a bigger impact than the wins, and especially when we feel like we've missed out on something. So I could have sat here when Lockheed Martin rallied up to this point pre-earnings and said, "Oh, I made a mistake." But more often than not, if something is just not winning, if something's just not going up, that's telling you something. The market's telling you something. And where would we be here today? If we were looking at it right here today, that position would still be down. Instead, I have the capital to do what? Buy more Nvidia if I wanted to, or pursue other more beneficial opportunities. So it can hurt sometimes to cut these losses when they violate your rules, when they violate your risk, but you move on. You just got to move on and find another opportunity, and you'll find another winner. It's just that simple. There's always something moving, and you just have to find it. But you get fixated on something that's costing you money, hoping that it'll come back, trying to avoid the pain of cutting it. No, it doesn't work. Eventually, you'll realize this. So, yeah. Let's see, Zillow. Now, Zillow is interesting. I really wanted to get into. I bought Zillow. Here, another example. Thanks for bringing it up. I bought Zillow when it came back. I've already got it marked up to this halfway point right here. It started to consolidate. It created a little zone right here, and then it started to break above the zone. I was in it on a setup back around in here. It was back in the June. Yep, June. And as soon as it violated this area right here, got out. Now, it came back up to what could have been a break even. Maybe so. Maybe that's a better exit. But look where it ended up. If a trade or an investment is not going the way you want it to, that the market's telling you something. You've got your examples of, let's say, Tesla, where people were diamond handing it back in 2018 because, that was the time to short it. Everyone, major hedge funds, were shorting Tesla, saying that the company was going to fail. But there were a few people that got rewarded for holding on to it for the vision. And of course, you're going to hear about those people because, wow, they're such an interesting story. But more often than not, you end up with your PRPLs, you end up with your Lockheed Martins, you end up with your Zillows. I can name a bunch of them just from this year alone, where cutting a loss is the way to go. Focus on your winners, the Nvidia. You only need a few of them. It just keeps on going. Costco is another one. There's better places to have your money than in losers. It's just that simple. So Zillow, I'm glad I'm out. I'm glad I got out here and I'm not sitting here wondering what to do with it when over 50% of what so back up. I got out here at about 100. It's now trading at 56. I literally have twice as much money in this than I would have otherwise. I have twice as much capital to allocate to something else that I would have otherwise. How are you going to double your money in the course of May to November in a less than 6 month period? How are you going to double your money with surety? You're not, but you can prevent yourself from losing half your money by taking the small loss instead of the big one. Great example of this. So many examples, and this it's hard to learn. It takes a while, but this is how you keep yourself in the game, and you let your capital sit around for a winner. Don't have any patience for losers, and it sucks. But if you're in these where there's literally no bottom to them, you can just keep on going. Your best bet is to just take the loss when it hurts a little, instead of sitting here wondering what to do with it when it hurts a lot. I don't know how anymore. This is why I do this, is to point this out, because I've learned this the hard way. And now, every time I take a loss, I hate it. But I'd rather take a small loss than be sitting here looking at this, because this will eat at you emotionally. If you're focused on this, a loss like this, you're not looking for new opportunities to make your money back. This is not making you money holding on to it. But you can take that, come back the next week, clear headed, fresh cash, put it in something else that could be your next winner of the year. That's the way you need to look at it. Your money's better off in something else. It's just that simple. Thanks to TradingView, appreciating my epic work, and Splick. Hey man, what happened to your live streams? Haven't seen them in a while. Miss them. I like visiting yours. So anyway, even Kathy is cutting. Uh, when
So bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
when Zillow announced that they were doing their buying properties based on AI algorithms in real estate, which is traditionally a very local and very subjective market, that was my thought. It's bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off. Turns out it didn't. Yeah, I mean, the reason this is happening fundamentally, they have written down $250 million in losses tied to all this inventory they have. Some people are trying to say that this is the end of the housing bubble we're in right now. Let's see, was it U.S. home prices? Case Schiller. Do we have it here? Yeah, I don't know about that. Seems to be going pretty strong still, but it's definitely the end of Zillow trying this little experiment in using AI to price homes. It just didn't work for them. It was a trade. Really, it comes down to that. This is a trade that Zillow got into, a very big trade, a very diversified trade, and it didn't pay off. They're cutting their losses. They're just being good traders about it, but of course, that's going to be reflected in the stock price, and that's what you see right now. As far as Zillow as a company, I like it. I don't want to own it right now, but I would probably own it in the future when it shows some strength, because I do my rentals through Zillow. I love to check Zillow for house prices for investments, or just to kind of look at the value of homes in a certain area. Redfin's another one. I mean, I would say between those two, they're very good companies to look at, as far as their core business being a website that people visit to check real estate prices. But this little experiment they went on is not paying off, and I think the price of the stock is coming down to reflect it. But are they, as a company, going to be around for a while doing what they do? Yeah, I'm going to use them. I'm going to be a user, a consumer of their product. But right now, the market's got to come back to reality in this. So, yeah, Let's see. Could you share my idea about Doge? Yes, I made a. Actually, no, I talked about Shiba Inu the other day. Let's see. Doge. What is Doge doing? Again, poke it with a stick. Uh, yeah. Come on, do something. Yeah. This is basically. I need to make this the. Come on, just show me the meme. Don't. Yeah, there we go. I need to make this sort of the meme that I can pop up real quick with some kind of like a soundboard for the live stream, because that's what a lot of these stocks end up doing. A lot of people sitting there holding them, and come on, do something. So yeah, going back to Doge. Yeah, I just don't think you're going to be a Doge millionaire before the end of the year. I just don't think these dog coins are going to do what you want them to do. Some people that got in early. I mean, I remember there's this guy, Josh's Finance, that a couple months ago I had some good conversations with him and watched him. He was just all about Shiba Inu months and months ago, and I'm just like everyone else. I wish I could find that meme where I need to keep a folder of memes. I think and talk in memes a lot, where people were looking at Doge and like, dog money. I'm not going to make any money in that, and then watch it go up. And then of course Shiba Inu comes around, and they're like, oh, I'm not going to buy that. At the end of the day, the Fed's printing unlimited amounts of money, and that money has to go somewhere. And it's a game. It's a game. It's a Ponzi, pump and dump, whatever. And if you're on the right side of it and you know when to take profit, you can win. But you're playing a game against thousands, maybe even millions of other people. So you got to be better than they are. And you got to have a better emotional state. And one of the key things you got to do is not do dumb things like buy it after it's already run up. I mean, if you want to hold on to it and hope for another pump, more power to you. I mean, the people that I made a post about uh, the Shiba Inu, I kind of pointed out to people this. Sorry, I know you mentioned Doge, but it's not really that interesting. Shiba Inu is the most recent meme. I mean, the reason Doge isn't doing anything is because it's not a meme anymore. Now it's something else. While I was in New York, I even saw an ad in Times Square for the Floki coin. Okay, I mean, it's funny, but I just don't feel the need to participate in it. If you want to, that's fine. If you think it's fun, but I'd rather focus on other things. It's just my preference. But let me bring up something that. So when I talked about the Shiba Inu, someone made a comment. Yeah, people were claiming it was going to drop to blah, 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 but it did not. I've been with Shiba for a while, and had I listened to the so called experts back in May to sell Shiba after the pump, claiming it was a dead coin, I would not be sitting on healthy profits today. It's November 5th. November 5th. This is when I made it, was right about here. Now, more power to this user. More power to Mr. or Mrs. Yasmos. I am very I want everyone to be wealthy. I want everyone to be very, very rich. And he may be right. Holding on to it, diamond handsing it, bag holding, whatever. He was able to secure, was it May he said it was? May when it dropped down. Let's just assume that he got it at the bottom right here. So he's still up about 500%. It's pretty darn good. It's very darn good. But I think what gets a lot of people with these meme coins, these dog monies, is they have in their mind what they need. Let me tell a story. So I have a very good friend of mine that got into Dogecoin. Now this is a guy that is the salt of the earth, works for a living, building things, and he This was his first real investment. He doesn't even own stocks, but he bought into Dogecoin, and he was making very good money. He read all the experts saying that Dogecoin was going to get to $1. And so he, just like everybody else, wanted that dollar. They wanted that dollar price. And so they were going to hold on until $1. And then they were promised themselves they were going to sell. Whether they would have or not, I don't know. He also had this this procedure that he wanted to get done, this cosmetic procedure that he was going to pay for it with the money. And he needed the price of Doge to get up to that point so then he could sell it and it would pay for that procedure. He had it in his mind how much he needed Dogecoin to be. It was about $1. It was about, he said, about 93 cents. It's what I need to get it to that point. I did the math. And that's what he held on for. But the market of Dogecoin was under no obligation to fulfill his requirements. And I think it failed for a lot of people to get up to that point. And I think the same things happened with Shiba, where people were really focusing on 1 cent, because 1 cent would be 3 decimal places over, which would have made people, I guess, millionaires. Pretty much anyone that put $1,000 would be a millionaire. And so 1 penny Shiba was, of course, the meme, and a lot of people were holding on for that. I wish everyone the best, but again, it goes back to the thing. You're playing a game against thousands or millions of other people. It's a lot like the lottery. It really is. Only a few people get to win, but you're going to hear about them. The lottery makes it a point to put the people that win the lottery on TV with the big old check so that everyone else will play. That doesn't mean everyone gets to win the big check. So if you can be, I think the key here for these meme coins is if you're going to play it, you need to be content with a certain point. You got to be realistic about your expectations. Your expectations need to be, what am I trying to say here? Your expectations need to be imaginative. You need to have really high expectations, 20 to 1, 100 to 1. But at some point, you got to step off the merry-go-round before the music stops. And I'll go back to what I said in my analysis of Shiba Inu. You come up to this point where you have this run up. In the past, you had this little price hesitation in the run up that happened in October. It never violated this zone that it created and it broke above it. Whereas here, you have that violation. And now, what has Shiba Inu done? It's held below it. Whether it is Dogecoin, where when it breaks below it, you eventually have, you had this zone right here where it comes up, breaks it, and then you have a break and a hole below it, and then it just kind of dies. If it's this or GME, same thing. You have an attempt to go higher, and it just does nothing. You end up doing this. Same thing with Shiba Inu. What I would foresee into the future is this thing just sort of slowly trailing off. And then you know what? You will eventually get some kind of a hype months and months ahead of time. But you don't know when that's going to be, and you don't know where it's going to be. It could be all the way down here at the start of the trend. Again, you're playing a game against lots of people. The music is playing. You got to know when to get off. That's just the way with these meme stocks and stuff. Oh, what's up, man? Hard Knock Carpentry. I know who that is. $150%. That's nothing to sneeze at in any investment. The key there is just to be content. And I think a lot of people have, like I said, these ambitions for what they want to have. They want to have $1 million. They want to have $10 million, and they're just not content. The thing that you should take away from GME, from AMC, from Dogecoin, from Nvidia, from Shiba Inu, is that there's lots of these opportunities. And if you don't get this one, there'll be another one. So take your profits, wait for the next meme to happen. Don't hold on to something. That's what this has kind of been the principle of the whole live stream today is, get out at some point. The market will always give you more opportunities. Any last questions? I'm going to start wrapping up here at 5. I got some places to be, things to build. You have to find the coin that backs a project that you're into. Just like stocks, do your research, find the coin that fits what you're into or you think that will do well. I agree. I agree. And that's one of the reasons why I don't want to come off as dismissive of all this meme stuff. It's just I'm not as passionate about these memes, or I don't follow the live streams of people that are pumping these things. I would like to know more about this NFT space that's coming about. I would. But I have to rely on other people to, kind of give me an idea because I've got my thing that I'm interested in and they've got theirs. And that's why it helps to have a lot of ideas. And that's why I run my Discord is so that I can hear from other people. And I'm oftentimes wrong. I like to hear these things because I don't know when the next thing's going to come about. But yeah, I would say that find what you're passionate about and get really into it. And that's where you should put your money because little backstory here, Bitcoin, I was a big libertarian back in 2011. That's why I loved it so much. This idea of a currency that could not be controlled by governments or corporations. It was a libertarian's wet dream. It is less so now because everyone's trying to figure out how to regulate it, which kind of defeats the intrinsic value. But I've preached on that enough. So, which broker is? I'm all right. Get any questions in chat, YouTube, or TradingView? I'm about to start wrapping up. Which broker is best for stocks? Best is a hard word to answer. Let's talk about what I know and what I use. So I use at least 4 to 5 platforms to run my different accounts. The place I do most of my stock trading is on the Thinkorswim platform, which is done by TD Ameritrade, which is now owned by Schwab, or the other way around. Thinkorswim, greatest desktop software platform. They even have a pretty good mobile app too. But for analytics, that is what you want to do. Oh, okay. We're gonna do an extended live stream for Roan. Roan, or Chris, are you still there? Because I wanted to talk about the implied volatility thing. So Thinkorswim is, and again, I'm not getting paid to say any of these things, but oh man, I got a few. I can't close the live stream. I got a few more things to talk about. So Robinhood, I used just to be with the cool kids last year. I don't recommend Robinhood. It doesn't give you any of the analytics for options or charting that I would like. I also use Tastyworks for options because they have historically had the cheapest options prices. I think more brokerages have gotten more competitive, but I still use Tastyworks for doing things like spreads because you're using multiple options contracts. I use Schwab for some intermediate trading. At the end of the day, you just need to find a zero commission brokerage that doesn't piss you off. And by piss you off, I mean go down at really bad points, which they kind of all do. But there's pretty much zero commission trading across the board for all U.S. exchanges. They've all had to go down to zero for that. So there's no difference in pricing. If I was going to recommend someone get into something, learn something, though, it's got to be the Thinkorswim platform because there you can do the most advanced charting, most advanced data for options, including back testing. You just can't beat it. There's nothing else out there that I know of. So I would encourage you to learn on that, actually, if you're looking for a desktop-based platform. Thoughts on DWAC? Okay, hold on. We're gonna have a long live stream. I gotta plug something here because TradingView actually sent me a message. I don't know if it was spam or what, but I love TradingView. That's why I do my live streams on it. And they have a Black Friday sale coming up. I'm not getting. They did ask me to plug this, and for that purpose, I am going to make sure that you guys know the. Let's see, where is that thing? You need to have a TradingView package because number one, I don't want ads down here in the bottom of my screen. Okay. Number two, I keep multiple uh, chart layouts. I keep multiple chart layouts, which can let me switch between these. Like for instance, I can do like a production one, I can do a back testing one, a logging one. My logging one is going to be in white so that I can print out screenshots. You'll see that alert that comes up. I have a special plan through TradingView where I have 585 different alerts, and this makes me money because the alerts come in, they give me opportunities, and I pay for my subscription off of that. A lot of people in the Discord talk about like, oh, I don't want to pay for TradingView subscription. Come on, guys, come on, get serious about things. I mean, TradingView is worth. If you're going to do anything, don't buy a course. Don't buy anyone's don't pay subscription to somebody's Discord. Get you a paid TradingView subscription where you can have different chart laboratories. Where's the yeah, here's my where I can look at the longs and the shorts all at once. All these different layouts that I can save and look at really quickly. I also have how many indicators. You'll see I have different indicators for different platforms, or excuse me, different layouts. It's just all the things that you get from the subscription is fantastic. And they have a sale that comes around every year, the Black Friday sale. And you can get it for a much, much discounted rate for the rest of the year. Don't miss it. I'm plugging it because I use it and I believe in it. They've done really good for me. I pay for my subscription every year very easily because of the alerts that I set up. That's another thing. You have a limited amount of alerts, server-side alerts that you can set up. And it's gonna be very, very helpful for you. And little plug here. Where is it? Where did they send me the message? Yes. So use my referral link. Yeah, I'll get some $30 of TradingView coins. Woohoo! I wish that was an ERC20 token. I'm going to post that in the chat because this is my stream and I'm going to harp it. Give me $30 of TradingView money. I don't know what I can buy with it. Just give it to me and get your subscription, guys. Come on. It's worth it. It really, really, really is. I don't do advertisements unless I really like a product. So Chris is still here. Okay, Chris. I wanted to look at PayPal real quick, and then we're going to look at some of the rest of the things. Donald Trump's thing, what I think about that? Yeah, I do have an opinion about that. E-Trade, never used E-Trade. Sorry, can't really say about that. Actually, TV is not a broker, but you can tie it to brokerages. Whoa. There you go. And you can actually trade through it. I have a little tiny forex.com account. A little tiny is in like literally $100. But just to try it out, works just fine. I can trade off the charts. Can't really demonstrate it here because I think market's closed. Yeah, it's 5 o'clock forex. But you can tie it to these brokerages right here. Don't know if any Trace. Yeah, you can do stocks through TradeStation. TradeStation is a good platform. Although TradingView is eating TradeStation's lunch with their website. So let's see. Right. So here's an example of what you can use it for with the multiple alerts. So we were talking about this in the Discord today. Roan Dog. What were we doing? Is it PayPal? Yes, PayPal. So PayPal today, let's back up a little bit. PayPal today was sitting somewhere like this. I think he went long on PayPal, and I think he mistimed it with his calls. That's okay, learning experience. How I would have done things differently, and this is what I talked about in the chat. I'll just walk you through my step process for you. All right. So I'm of course going to look for 50% levels. And in the grand scheme of things, on this weekly time frame, this is still it's neutral, but it's not bearish because momentum has not gotten on the bearish side of the cloud. So I'm okay with someone saying, I want to buy this when it gets down to a level, or at least looking for an opportunity when it gets down to the level. And so what I would do in this case, and I did actually, and I posted in the chat when it hit, I would have set an alert here. Oh, okay, not replay. I would have set an alert at about 196, and then it triggered. It triggered for me at the end of the day, and I of course have my alerts going to my email so that I can archive them. TradingView can do that. I don't think they can go to text messages. That's what I have Thinkorswim for. But that's the key. You do your research on the weekends, on any day. You set alerts. I don't like being limited by the number of alerts I have because they can be out there for weeks or months on the long term. And then when you get the alert, you go and look for the opportunity. And so that's one example right there for being able to set alerts. Let's say that we wanted to get down to here, add alert, boom. And then I can have 586 instead of 585. You may have to talk to them about getting more. I think the packages are like 100, 200. I had to talk to them, but they were really good about getting me the alerts I needed because I do my business through it. So let's see. What I wanted to keep doing was I wanted to talk about in PayPal, and we're going to go back to Thinkorswim, and we're going to use that because again, the reason I like Thinkorswim is there's many reasons, but one is because we can have a lot of different indicators based on things like options data. The one thing that TradingView does lack is the options data. And that's, of course, probably because you got to pay for that and you get that through Thinkorswim. It's probably a little bit harder. But from that, you have the implied volatility of individual options of stocks. And so you'll notice this looks pretty familiar. The top part of the graph up here, the top chart is the price chart. Have Ichimoku in my retracement lines. We were looking at this today. But down the bottom, you see here something a little bit different. Now, what is this? This is a script that I wrote up. I took from other sources, but I wrote my own to make it color-coded to show me implied volatility. And what a lot of people that are trading options run into is maybe they buy an option, a call or a put. The stock goes in their direction, but they don't make any money. Now, why does that happen? A lot of cases, it's of course theta decaying, but you're also losing on the implied volatility, the vega. Implied volatility is like the tide that lifts up the prices of options. And when the tide goes out, all the boats sink. And one of the great things about this indicator that I program, there's nothing fancy about it. It just basically shows a line of implied volatility, but then it color codes it for me based on where it is relative to the past year. Statistically speaking, the IV rank or the IV percentile. Percentile is, of course, where it stands out of all the 252 trading days prior. In other words, right now, 53% of the last days were all below this price, the yellow line being the average. But here's the key thing. Notice what IV does around earnings. Like here was a previous earnings cycle right here. Boom. You have a big rise and then boom, immediate fall off right after earnings. Happened again. Right here, you have earnings run up of implied volatility, boom, falls right off. And in fact, it tends to fall off for a good, there's 27 bars or 39 days. Right after earnings here, fell off again 31 days before it bottomed out. And we just had earnings here. And so we could possibly expect IV to keep going down until about mid December. And so if you're trying to catch this bottom, if you're trying to buy PayPal on the way down, you're working against a tide that's going out. And this indicator right here helps me see this. And by the way, if you use Thinkorswim, you can get this indicator for the low price of free 99 if you just join the Discord and ask me. That's how much I care about making anyone else's money. I make my money through trading and investments. I don't need yours. Pay that in mind when you're paying somebody for classes and things like that. So, oh, you can have the TradingView app to ping you. There you go. There you go. You don't need text messages. You can have the app actually ping you alerts. So, good point on that. Let's see. Last things that people talked about. Donald Trump stock. Again, yeah, I bought it. I bought it with an average price of about 80. And I admit it. Sometimes I like to have a little bit of fun. I didn't put it into any of the accounts that I, do for other people because, yeah, that's my playing around. But again, Donald Trump stock, DWAC, Digital World Acquisition Corp. Uh, Come on, do something. But you know what? I have fun tickets in Donald Trump stock, and I don't care. That's what I see them as. That's what I see them as. Maybe if Donald Trump can get his Twitter back and tweet, it will go up again. I got fun tickets. I don't care. That's why I'm not going to be critical about people that buy dog coin and stuff like that, because this is what they want to do. It's your money. Do what you want to with it. I like doing dumb things every once in a while like this. Oh, Jen, speaking of dumb things and learning, you asked about Forex today. Incidentally, Facebook gave me one of those your memories from a while back. I wanted to show you this. I posted this when I was first getting into trading. I was so proud of myself because look at this win that I made in the euro dollar. I took 3 positions, 1, 2, 3, and then I closed them at that point right there for a total, I think, combined value of 124 pips. What's wrong with this trade? What is wrong with this trade? What is something that I did 11 years ago that I would not do now? I think anyone can see it. Kind of waiting on the lag to catch up. Actually, I think YouTube is a little far behind TradingView. What did I do wrong on this if you guys are catching it live? Oh, man. YouTube's very far behind. I think you guys are still on the, still looking back at the IV. Now we're looking at Donald Trump stuff. Yeah. I think I need to upgrade my tech. I need to use something like OBS, I believe, to do the streaming from now on. I'm impatient. What's going on here? If you had a chance to answer for yourself, I bought it here. It went against me. I bought it again. It went against me. I bought it again. And then I closed it up here on a thing. And it looks so good. Look at how I caught that right there at that point. Man, isn't that nice to double down to martingale? My first trading system 11 years ago was a martingale. And if you don't know what a martingale system is, it's basically where it comes from roulette, where you buy something and if it goes against you, you buy it again. Sometimes you double your entry. And so when it works out and it comes back, you just don't take very many losses. You take a lot, you make a lot of wins, a lot of small wins, and you rarely lose until you do. And of course, then you bought more, you bought more, you bought more, and you're very, very deep into it. And yeah, I took a big loss about 11 years ago following this this little bragging. And I learned. And this is why I don't do this. I try to tell people not to do it, but it also goes to show that I've been through this process too to get to this point. Everyone starts out the way. But now I don't have any patience for losers. So everyone has a journey. make the stock market great again. Thanks, everybody.